Hello, and thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm Reverend JR, and today we're going to be taking a look at this video from Prager University.
What if schools had to compete for students in the same way that businesses have to compete for customers?
One of the biggest differences between Judeo-Christian values and secular values concerns this very issue, the worth of the human being.
1 Timothy 2:12. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man.
Human life is sacred.
I guess you didn't learn your lesson since last time, Dennis. And I'm going to keep bringing it up that you keep violating the same laws you want other people to follow. But enough about that, on with the video.
Would schools get better or worse?
Well, I suppose it could foster competition, like the competition to create diploma mills.
There's no need to guess. In almost every state and city where there is competition today, educational outcomes improve, often dramatically.
Okay, I actually took the time to go look at Prager's website and look at the sources listed, and we're gonna have some fun.
This competition is called school choice.
I sure do hope they're going somewhere with this soon.
And many states and cities now embrace it.
So the first claim doesn't even have a reference in the references on his page. Go check it out.
With the old model under which most American children still live, and many states and cities now embrace it.
Wait a minute. You just told me that many places have it, but most kids still don't. Can you talk out of both sides of your mouth a little faster?
The government, not the parent, decides which school children will attend.
This answer is in two parts. The first part is that you already do have a choice. Use a private school if you want. Secondly, if you have a choice where you send your children and which school receives your tax money, can I choose not to send my money to any school since I do not have a child in them? I do not think this is a good way to run it, but you seem to be implying that it's a-okay.
Now here's how school choice works. The money follows the student. Every child receives funding that their parents can direct to the school of their choice.
So let me get this straight. My tax money goes to that funding you're talking about. But I shouldn't have a say where your child goes to school, even though I have no children in the system.
Public, private, charter, or even homeschool.
No, if you want my tax money going somewhere, it will be an accredited institution through the state. If you want to homeschool your children, that's fine. Do not expect my tax money to pay for it. Remember, you just said, since part of that funding comes from me, I should have a say in it. And I say no.
According to researchers at the University of Arkansas, in the most comprehensive study done to date, students in school choice programs saw their reading and math scores improve by 27% and 15% respectively.
Even if that is the case, I cannot check your studies, because the links you cite, they do not seem to work. They load and load and load, and then you can kind of get a web page up, and then they load and load and load again. And after 30 minutes of this trying to find your studies, I only came across one that didn't even seem to be a study. So if you want to show us some peer-reviewed information that backs this up, I'll be more than happy to see it. But for now, I'm presuming it's just a cherry-picked fabrication of what you think the truth should look like.
Sounds like something we should get behind, doesn't it?
Hey guys, don't you think it'd be awesome if we could let your children decide to go to Prager University so we can get all your tax money for it? Doesn't that sound great, guys?
But for millions of families in my home state of California and in many others, school choice is not a choice.
But you mean I can't tell the taxpayers how to spend their money on my children? You mean I have to actually take their views into consideration? How selfish of that! Wait a minute, what?
And there's one reason why. Teachers' unions.
Wait a minute, what?
I've been a teacher for 28 years and served as a leader in a local affiliate of the California Teachers Association.
So therefore, my anecdotal argument from authority must hold more water than anyone else's. Apparently you didn't teach logic.
So I've seen this problem from the inside.
Nope, I'm not even touching that one.
Teachers in California public schools are coerced to pay dues to the teachers' union.
Remind me again how you like the collective bargaining idea of a student's choice, but you don't like unions. I'm guessing you weren't a history teacher either.
True, we cannot be forced to join, but we are forced to pay the union. Their fees are mandatory and expensive.
Yeah, it really sucks that the union is responsible for you having, an income in dollars, and health insurance, and a retirement plan, and bargaining rights. That really just sucks that you have to pay into that system and have, no say over it, doesn't it? Oh, hey, that's right. I kinda have to do that when I pay school taxes for the children I don't have.
In California alone, the unions raise over $300 million every year.
Alright, let's crunch some numbers. So according to www.cde.ca.gov, on 2 different fact sheets, we have the number of teachers in California as approximately 295,000. We have the average salaries of public school teachers at around $72,000 in California, and we have them saying approximately 300 million. So that's about $1,000 per teacher on average, which, compared to the income average, is less than half of my percentage that I pay into the schools. Get over it.
What do the unions do with all that money?
I am kind of curious. What do the unions do with 1 1/3% of your income?
They lobby the government for more money.
And that's completely unlike anything you're trying to do here, right?
More money for public education.
So as a teacher, you didn't want someone lobbying on your behalf for more money for your profession?
That might sound good, but it's really just a smokescreen. The National Center for Education Statistics reports that since 1970, public school attendance in the U.S. has gone up by just 5%.
The citation is just a link to the National Center for Education Statistics, 120 Years of American Education, a statistical portrait from 1993. That's 23 years ago. I do not know which figure they are referring to, so I'll take the first one I come across on page 6. Under Education Characteristics of the Population, it says, Figure 1, percent of 5 to 19-year-olds enrolled in school by race, 1850 to 1991, and we see that indeed, from 1970 to about 1993, there was only about a 5% increase in the percentage of children, not the raw number, you disingenuous, half-witted wench.
While public school employment has gone up 95%. More public school employment means more dues for the unions, but does it mean better schools?
The unions exist for the teachers' rights, not for the students' rights. So why would you imply that you getting paid vacation time should improve or detract from the quality of the school?
Certainly not in California, which ranks 45th in the nation in reading and math, despite spending over $55 billion a year on education.
Who knows? Maybe you have a point. Maybe we shouldn't pay you for the 3 months you don't work in the middle of the summer. Maybe that would increase the quality of the education. Maybe we shouldn't give you the collective bargaining rights to get retirement. Maybe that would leave more money for the students.
That's over 52% of the state's total budget.
I like how you're complaining about how much money it is, but your solution isn't to reduce the amount of money being spent, but just to change where it's going and reducing the oversight of it.
Yet rarely is anyone held accountable for these dismal results.
So you believe that the simple act of choice is what allows it to be accountable. That's why there are absolutely no diploma mills that people could choose to go to instead of real schools, right? They're completely accountable, right?
I've personally seen excellent new teachers lose their jobs while incompetent and even abusive veteran teachers keep theirs. Yet rarely is anyone held accountable because of the union's infamous last in, first out layoff and tenure rules.
And that's why you want to allow a parent to force a child to be homeschooled and have literally no choice in what teachers they have because they're their parents and they don't have a biology department where they can pick a second biology teacher on the next semester. Are you even listening to yourself? Also, did you notice those two terribly faulty logical arguments right there? There can't be anybody who knows better than I do what a good teacher is, even though there are people whose job it is to do these things, and I'm not one of them.
For these reasons and more, parents almost always prefer school choice when allowed to choose.
Because the government, who has boards that oversee how these things work, certainly are not as qualified as the random parent who is too busy working to worry about it.
This is obviously true for wealthy parents who can afford to send their children to any school they want, but it's equally true for middle-class and poor parents when they have a choice.
So you think it'd be great if there was an organization that could help these parents get that choice, but you don't like unions, but you want the tax money to fund it, but you don't like unions because you have to pay dues.
And here's the real giveaway. Public school teachers are less likely to send their children to public schools when given the choice.
There doesn't appear to be any citation for this one on that site. So, I can make up facts too. Hey, did you know that most public school teachers do send their children to public school?
Why are most school choice options better? Because teachers at these schools are free from the union's stifling work rules.
And that's why accountability is terrible, right? Because you have to follow the rules and... Wait a minute.
In short, they're free to teach. And the administrators at these schools are also free to reward good teachers and fire bad ones.
And there's also no real standards against them just hiring and firing whoever they want.
The teachers' unions don't like school choice because it means less money and less power for them. That's why they'll say anything, do anything, and spend any amount to stop it.
You know you're not required to be a teacher in California, right? You can go be a teacher in any state in the union, and yet you're choosing to stay there.
Whether in the halls of the legislature, on the campaign trail backing pro-union candidates, or on TV with sweet-sounding commercials.
Which is why I'm not doing exactly the same thing right here. Right, guys? Right, guys? Right, guys?
During my public school teaching career, I have worked alongside many other teachers to reform the unions from within. Only when we realized that this wasn't possible did we take our case to a higher power, literally.
You mean you didn't just exercise your power of choice to not teach there? Interesting.
All the way to the United States Supreme Court. The argument behind our lawsuit, Friedrichs v. California Teachers Association, was simple. Teachers should be able to decide for themselves without fear or coercion whether or not to fund or join a union.
And for some reason, instead, you didn't choose to just work somewhere else. How interesting.
Unfortunately, in a split 4-4 decision, we lost.
Sucks you gotta abide by public standards when you're using public monies, huh?
But I haven't lost hope, because the unions and the politicians do not ultimately have the power. We do.
Like the power to choose to work somewhere else. It sucks when personal choice gives you personal responsibility, doesn't it?
If you believe, like me and millions of others,
Like millions of others and I. Clearly you were not an English major.
that parents, not the government, should decide where their children go to school,
That's right, the only way you can make schools more competitive is to choose to work somewhere else. See how your argument goes both ways?
and that competition will make all schools better,
That's right, when Bell was no longer a government organization, all the phone companies suddenly had the same rate structure and the same quality, right? You've never had better call quality from AT&T than you have from Verizon in any given area because they all compete, right? You've never had to worry about a coverage map because they all compete, right? I mean, I can get any given telephone service I want, anywhere in the country I want, right? It's my choice because I want to pay for it, right? Even the ones I can't get in my area, right? That's what privatizing things does, right? It increases the competition and doesn't create monopolies at all, right?
then join the school choice movement. We can have good schools for all our children. We just have to make the choice.
What she's really trying to say is that she was just an absolutely terrible teacher because nobody had a choice to send her students to anyone else. What she's really advocating for is that you never send your children to her again, because she's absolutely terrible because she's at public school, and no one should be forced to learn under her. I'm not sure I disagree at this point. But that's going to be it for today, because that's the end of that video, and that's about the end of this video. If you liked this, click the little thumbs up. If you didn't, click the thumbs down. I don't care. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Are you pro-union or anti-union? Do you think public schools should be funded this way or not? It's good to discuss these things. All my links are down below. You can check out my blog or my Twitter or whatever. You can click on my Patreon and leave me a little money if you feel like it. And as always, this has been Reverend JR, signing off.